And we're almost there. You know, we're ending up also with what I call some exciting, you know, we got a dose of compliance. I'm tired of compliance, aren't you guys? Man, if I hear any more compliance, I'm going to bust. You know, we've gotten every word of compliance that one can get into one afternoon. So thank you guys for hanging in here. We've got a presentation coming up now to talk about student access and success in the Nevada higher education system. Chancellor Riley is going to come up and talk with us about an initiative that they started a couple of years ago in Nevada and share with you some of the exciting work that has come out of that. And even more importantly, he has a talented group of students who are going to share with us. In your programs, for the time of, I'm not going to read, if you go to your programs, there is a bio there on the Chancellor that shares his information in terms of what he has been involved in as a professional higher education administrator throughout his career. So take a look at that. And I am going to, at this time, sit down and allow Chancellor Rollo to come in his own way.
So I just, this is this one.
That one, or if you just want to.
Perfect.
Perfect. You can just go from here.
Excellent. Okay. Good afternoon. I know you've had a long day, too. This will be the last session, too. So I'm going to just talk briefly for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then kind of illustrate where we're trying to move around the issues of student success and some of our initiatives, and do something radical and have our actually students speak to that. You know, I've met everyone, McKinsey, I don't think we have met before too, but I've been doing some focus groups with various different students throughout the state, and I've met with each of these at various different forums. And they have compelling stories, as you know, as presidents and as leaders in institutions, that when you hear from students, we realize that's why we're here. This is what we're about. But they articulate better our initiatives than I can ever do. So that's why I invited them with me to kind of share this presentation. I was going to briefly go over our focus at the Nevada system of higher education. We're unique. We're one system of higher education. We dominate higher education in the state of Nevada. There's very little private sector involvement in higher education. We are governed by an elected board of regents, which is also a bit unusual. Most places are appointed. And we have all of our higher education system under one system, which includes our research universities, our state college, and our community college. So we're governed as one system in Nevada. When I came on several years ago, I worked with our Board of Regents, the communities, and legislators to identify some very, very simple goals. At the end of the day, when we tell people, they say, that makes sense, that's what you're about, and we develop metrics around those. In addition to the metrics, we develop specific initiatives to help further these, and that's part of the discussion I'm going to have today, and that's part of the discussion that the students are going to have. As I mentioned, we're one system. We have 8 institutions in Nevada, 4 community colleges, a state college, 2 R1 Carnegie designated research institutions, and then we have a research institute, the Desert Research Institute. We're governed by the Board of Regents. We have 8 presidents that report to me. I report to the Board of Regents. Of our 8 presidents, 5 are ethnically diverse, 3 are women. The board has made a tremendous commitment that the highest level of our organization that we reflect our student population, which is 55% ethnic minority. The last 4 presidents we have appointed have all been ethnic, from various different ethnic groups. Our enrollment by institution, our largest institution is our community college of Southern Nevada, which is down in Las Vegas. It has 3 campuses, about 35,000 individuals. UNLV is our second largest. They're about 31,000 fall enrollment. UNR, which is here, is approaching 22,000. We have Truckee Meadows Community College, which is in Reno, which is about 11,000. We have Nevada State College, which is our state college, which is down in Las Vegas in the Henderson area at 4,200. We have Western Nevada College, which is in our capital in Carson City, 3,700. And Great Basin Community College, which is out in Elko. Our enrollment, our 2019 enrollment is about 112,000. Pre-recession, we hit our high about 114, dropped off. After that, we're building back up. We have positive enrollment in all of our institutions for the last several years. In 2016, we became a majority minority serving system. 55% of all our students, of 112,000 students, are ethnic minorities. And as I mentioned before, we are not there in representing our faculty and administration, but we're trying to set that tone with the highest levels of our leadership with our presidents. We do have 5 simple goals that we have held our presidents to, that we've worked with our legislature, that we build our budget, and that we communicate on a daily basis. One thing when I came on as chancellor, I looked at all the Board of Regents meetings we had, and they're never very exciting, but most of them didn't deal with really those core issues that move the needle. A lot of discussion about reviewing and rehashing issues, but we didn't spend a lot of time as a system with the presidents in the region talking about those issues like student access and student success that make a difference. That is why we built our goals, and each of our meetings center on one of those goals, and we talk about the issue of metrics. Now all presidents have to present on these goals and how they're moving forward on these metrics. Very briefly, the first one is on access, increasing participation in post-secondary education. We rank 49th in the nation in the percent of 18 to 24-year-olds who are engaged in any type of higher education. We do not have a culture of higher education in Nevada. We do much better with older individuals, 26 and older. In fact, our population of students reflect an older population. But as you know, that becomes challenges when we talk about student success because life, family, and everything else gets in the way. But with our 18, 24-year-olds, whether it's construction booming in Las Vegas or the gaming industry in Las Vegas or mining in Elko, there are high-paying jobs for many of our young people when they graduate from high school. But say, for example, in mining, it works well, but when you're 35 and 36 and can't work in the mines anywhere more and you have 4 kids and you don't have another skill set, it creates issues. Success is our core. At the end of the day, we judge our success on that when students actually achieve a certificate or a degree. That is our central focus. That is what we hire our presidents for. That is what we want them to speak to, and is what we talk about at each of our board meetings. Closing the achievement gap. We are most concerned, although this is part of student success, we're very concerned about the progress of our majority of our students, our African American Latino students, who lag behind on success when compared to our white students. That we felt a specific goal around the issue of closing the achievement gap was necessary and a necessary focus to have this ongoing conversation. Meeting the workforce needs of Nevada, and our last area is focused on the issue of research, is that we do research as public institutions to solve problems. At the end of the day, that is why we do research. It's not a theoretical exercise. We're public institutions, and we solve community problems. And we have to articulate those problems that we solve. We're still working on that. To speak more simply to legislators and others about the problems we solve with our research. On the issue of access, we've developed very specific metrics that we have a dashboard. And the dashboard's available for the entire community, for all our regions, and when our institutions present, they have to present to the metrics that we've adopted as a board. They can use other metrics, but it's critical that they actually use the metrics that we've developed with our institutions. Each of our institutions have peer and aspirational institutions. These are communities that are like them. And that's where we focus a lot of our comparisons on. We are an open access system in Nevada, and we're very proud of that. I truly believe that as a system in this nation, we will make most progress by those institutions that adopt an open access system. That we judge our success by who we include and not who we exclude, and that everybody has an opportunity. We don't exclude. But because of that, comparing ourselves with other institutions that are very selective and selectively let people in becomes challenging. That's why we have worked with our institutions to develop peer institutions. For example, at UNLV. UNLV's peer institutions are Arizona State University, Central Florida, and the University of Houston. Communities that reflect the demographics, communities that reflect the challenges from K through 12, but somehow or another, they're doing better with us when we talk about student success. Somehow or another, they're doing better with us when we deal with research. Those are the comparisons that we're requiring that our institutions talk about, partner with, and then talk about what are they doing and why are they making progress on these areas. So for each of these areas, and I'm not going to go over those, we've adopted very specific metrics. We use a lot of the national data, too, that everyone else uses, but we also allow for these comparisons with our peer institutions. As I mentioned, on the issue of access, we rank at the bottom in our 18 to 24-year-olds. We have an older population. We do much better as an older population, but we have to make incredible strides on the issue of both with younger individuals who are coming out of the K through 12 and adult learners. So what we've done about the issue of success just in the last couple years. One is that we've done a foster care student waiver program, and we have one of our students here to talk about that. She's one of the recipients of that, and she'll talk about some of the challenges and what we need to do more around the issue of foster care student waiver. It's a program where the board has adopted any youth that was in care in the state of Nevada at the age of 14 receives free tuition to any of our institutions up until the age of 26. But as you know, just the tuition waiver is only a small part of how we deal with success with a population of foster care. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit in this presentation, but we've really teamed up with our institutions to have points of contact and to have support system, because that's what it's all about if we want this population to be successful. We've also partnered with the Walter S. Johnson Foundation that has invested a considerable amount of money in our state because our numbers are doable, that we can actually see progress, and we've committed at institutions that when we offer free tuition and waivers, we will develop the support system, the emotional support, the housing, and everything else that goes on to make these students successful. Our Nevada Promise Scholarship Program is a last dollar program. We modeled it after the state of Tennessee several years ago. It's a program that is growing. Youth, their senior in high school apply. They have to do a certain amount of community service in order to qualify for it. They also have to have a mentor that they're peered up with. As I said, it's not a financial, it's a last dollar program. So after they have to apply for FAFSA, and after they're done, then the program covers all the other cost associated with higher education at our community colleges. We have a student here to talk about that and talk about how she entered the program and her decision points around that. The last program I just wanted to mention around the issue of access is the MGM's College Opportunity Program. The MGM Hotel is our largest employer in the state of Nevada, having approximately 70,000 employees nationwide. We modeled this program after Arizona State University with the program with Starbucks. And that any of the employees at MGM can go online to any of our 7 degree granting institutions for free. They have to apply for financial aid. MGM will cover the cost of all those employees for going for any of the degrees. I'm from Arizona State University, very close friends with President Crow. I like to say our program's enhanced and a little more richer because we involve community colleges, not just the university. And the point of contact of many of those individuals in MGM are first-time students. This allows individuals in culinary, housekeepers, groundkeepers to get a degree in any field. It could be biology. It's a commitment that MGM has made in our state that the pathway to social mobility in the middle class is through higher education, and they've been a tremendous partner with us. We're in the second year of this program. We hope to grow the program significantly over the next several years. The core of what we do is centered around the issue of student success. We have obviously those outcomes that each of you are very, very familiar with, that we've dashboard. We have those comparisons with our peer and aspirational institutions. Suffice to say is that we lag in Nevada of national averages around graduation. UNR in our four-year colleges mirrors the four-year graduation rate, the six-year graduation rate for a four-year institution. They're up about 58%. UNLV is significantly behind in that regards. Same with our community colleges, particularly down at CSN, which employs the majority of our, that enrolls the majority of our students. Our graduation rates have been exceedingly low and unacceptable. What we've done here is that for the first time, the system has adopted 2025 goals for each of our institutions and year-to-year persistent rates. This is something we discuss at all our board meetings. These are aggressive goals that we intend to reach by 2025, and every institution reports on their persistent rates. We've had summits that we've held both on access, on the issue of student success and closing the achievement gap. We brought in best practices, and we've attempted to system-wide adopt some of these best practices. One of the things we've done is we've mandated co-requisite support. Within 1 year, this is the second year, we will eliminate remedial education in the state of Nevada. We have a partnership with our partnership at K through 12 to start testing youth their sophomore and junior year, to have them actually take the remedial education their senior year, and we're moving towards a co-requisite model at all of our institutions. So when individuals come to us, they're enrolled on day one in a class that leads towards a degree with the necessary support and counseling around that. The board also mandated advising and mandatory advising, which we didn't have in the system. The other thing that we've done is, as I told the presidents, is that we do a great job of telling wonderful stories of our students who overcome all these barriers to go on to higher education. But we don't tell the stories of many of those students that don't graduate. And when we have graduation rates that are less than 50%, all these wonderful stories we tell these high school kids that come to us and never graduate. And so we're going to start telling some of those stories. But we're also going to own the issue of graduation, not at the presidential level, at the department level. And we've mandated that all our data is driven down to our department level, and the department's chairs own the issue of what's happening and why students aren't continuing. We've also partnered with a group out of Atlanta, Georgia, Operation Hope, that have provided financial counselors in our institutions. A wonderful organization. We've always kind of struggled with partnering. I know many of you have the same issue with financial institutions and giving them access to our students. And Operation Hope is that middle ground, right? They actually go out as a nonprofit, find the resources in the community with financial institutions, and they partner with our financial aid folks. They've committed initially to 3 of our institutions, and we're going to roll out this program in all our institutions within the next year. Closing the achievement gap. As I said, we are a majority minority system, and our graduation rates and success rates, particularly among our Native American, African American, and Latino students, is unacceptable. And we know what works. We know what works, but it's scaling it up. At Western Nevada College, 10 years ago, they looked at their outcomes of the Latino students and their white students and said, this is unacceptable. And they developed this intrusive counseling program with Latino families. Today, Latino students graduate at higher rates than their Caucasian counterparts. We know it can work. We need to expand it. We need to commit to that, but we need to talk openly about unacceptable gaps in our achievement with our students. We've developed and pushed for more intrusive, high-touch student support programs that we know work. The data is there. It's the struggle we have is how do we scale it up to reach more individuals. Also sharing the data at the department level, expanding our cultural responsive training, and attempting to be very aggressive on the issue of recruiting and retaining a minority faculty and staff. And as I said, that's something I'm very proud of being part of the system, is that we have mirrored that with our presidents. It can be done. It's a commitment that people buy into to say that we will represent the students that we serve. Workforce, we looked at the governor's top 10 high-demand jobs. and tracking data around that, both how are we meeting the gaps, where are those students graduating from, where are they coming from, and how are we closing the gap, and what specific initiatives we put around these top high demand jobs. Very interesting, we have these top high demand jobs, but teachers for some reason weren't part of that 10. We added that, and our specific initiatives in this year is focusing around the issue of nursing and teaching, both communicating with industry and our deans about the type of curriculum and how do we increase the workforce around these two specific areas. We've also created a workforce advisory group of key partners in the employment and economic development agency that advises us about the issues, about how our system can be more responsive to the issue of higher education. One area that we are expanding quite a bit is around the issue of dual enrollment. We've done a really good job. The legislature supported on the academic side. We're really pushing on the issue of workforce. One of the young people we have here today is participating in the HVAC program. As you can imagine, in Nevada, particularly southern Nevada, we have a lot of need for air condition repairmen. And we can't produce enough. Individuals can come out of the program making $55,000 a year. There's such high demand. We've created programs around this dual enrollment program, developed partnerships with our K through 12 and these memorandums of understanding. I know many of you have had that, but this is actually the first time we have a specific memorandum with K through 12 of what we're going to agree to around the issue of remedial education and around the issue of workforce. And it's more than just a memorandum. We actually talk about the issue of updates and talk about the struggles that we have in order to increase school readiness and workforce development. And the last area, and I'm going to shut up and turn it over to some of the students after this, is on the issue of research. And part of this issue of research that I don't think we've done a very good job on is really, as I mentioned, articulating that we do research to solve problems. And many of our professors aren't the best individuals to talk to others to convince them of the type of great research that they're doing. We need to be much more plain spoken. And we need to talk about the real problems in our community that we're investing research dollars in for economic development on the issue of workforce. But we have to talk very concretely to legislators about why research is important and what problems in our local community, state, and globally that we are solving. I'm going to jump to our panel discussion. So we have 4 students here today. As I mentioned, these students I've had opportunity to meet through various different focus groups that we've had, trying to learn from students about what we need to do better. But their stories are really incredible. And what I'm going to have, if I can, is just have each of them tell their story real quick and then talk about the specific program that they are here representing. So to my left is Fernando Benitez. He is an undocumented student from the College of Southern Nevada, having come here at the age of 6 from El Salvador. He has an incredible story. But one thing we've done as a system with our board is made a commitment to undocumented students. In Nevada, we're fortunate. In other states, is that when individuals graduate from our high school in Nevada, they get in-state tuition. We do not ask immigration status of our students when they come to us. We're very proud of that. It is something, but we've kept it a secret. We've been afraid that if we talk about it, legislators are going to come and introduce punitive policies. And it's not crazy that they do that. I'm from Arizona State University. Arizona actually has a policy, specifically where the board, they have a law that requires students who are undocumented to pay out-of-state tuition. But we need to communicate more about that. And then what are the obstacles around that, particularly when we talk about the issue of financial aid. Next to Fernando is Mackenzie Ratliff, and she's from Elko, attending Truckee Meadow Community College, and she's part of our Nevada Promise Scholar Program. To my right is Sebastian Macias. And he is part of our dual enrollment program, which is our HVAC program from Western High School. He graduated a year ago from high school. He covered, well, I believe half of his classes for his HVAC certificate. Great story he has too, and we'll be graduating in another 2 semesters. And then to my right is Corey Pofenbidi. That was close. She's Native American. She's a foster care youth. She's a mother, and she's part of our waiver program, doing some phenomenal stuff with her education, but dealing with the real struggles of being in the foster care system and having kids of her own. So with that, I'm going to kind of turn it over. I'll start, Fernando, if you want to just kind of tell your story, and then we'll talk more specifically about the program.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Fernando Benitez. Thank you for inviting me, by the way. I actually came here when I was 10. Well, I go to CSN. I'm working on my culinary degree. I'm also part of a nonprofit called Leaders in Training by Erica Mosca. I came here when I was 10 years old from El Salvador. I started my journey, way back there from being in the ocean, going through Mexico, and walking the desert. I wasn't the best student in middle school. I kind of didn't know what being undocumented meant. I didn't know how significant and hard that was going to become eventually. I had made my bad decisions during my middle school years, but 8th grade, that's when reality really kicked in. It was time I started applying to high schools and started thinking of high school and the next step after high school. That's when I met Erica Mosco, and Leaders in Training was one of the things that helped me find my way, to go to college. I started my freshman year, regular, kind of didn't think of being undocumented as a big thing. I started as, everyone else, I was excited to go to school, I was like, okay, let's fix this up and focus on school from now on. And then sophomore year, I applied to Nevada State High School. That's when I transferred from Sunrise High School, which was a regular high school, to a dual enrollment school as well. And that's when reality really started kicking in, because I had to start thinking of going to college. How was I going to do it? And I started seeing other kids, I started getting opportunities, scholarships here and grants and all this crazy stuff. And I started getting motivated to try to do it. I was in Leaders in Training, so I already knew what to do to go to college, how to apply and things like that. But I didn't know the walls that I was going to encounter. Eventually, when I started trying to apply to scholarships and grants and all these other stuff, there was a lot of them that asked me for a FAFSA application, which I can legally not even put in because of my Social Security and my status. I don't have one. It's been difficult, especially what's going on right now in D.C. I believe, people like you guys that are in office, I want to tell my story for that same reason, because, what's going on in Washington right now, it's all political, but I believe it's about destroying lives. That's really the issue. DACA I have a lot of friends that have DACA. They themselves, they base their lives on that. They have a job, they're able to go to school, and they're able to follow their dreams. There's a lot of talent in our communities. There's engineers, doctors, but sometimes being undocumented can be a wall, and that sometimes it's hard to break. Even though you try, sometimes it just doesn't seem to break at all. Being undocumented, I think it was one of the best things that happened to me, though. Worse for the aspect that, there's a lot of opportunities that are closed in front of me that I try to do internships and I want to work here and there, but sadly I cannot. But it was the best thing that happened to me, because I've learned to value my education and value my opportunities better. I see an opportunity in front of me and I make sure I take it whenever I can. But I'm here to make sure that I'm telling my story, because there's millions of students that have the same story as me, that come from the same place as me, maybe have it worse. A lot of diverse stories that there is. The DACA program, it's a really important program that has changed a lot of lives, has given a lot of opportunities, has allowed people to dream and continue to follow their dreams. We all have a dream, like Martin Luther King once said, we all have a dream. And I never imagined myself 10 years ago being in here telling my story. Even a couple months ago, I wouldn't have done it. I was really afraid. I was, what's going to happen? People are going to find out I'm undocumented. But I believe it's important to speak up. That's the only way we can make change. And, as for all your support and your positions, I believe we speak up, and then it goes through you, and you are able to speak up to officials in office, congressmen, congresswomen, they're the ones who make the change. We need to change that. We really do. Like I said, there's a lot of talent in our communities. Maybe somebody in our community might have the cure to cancer. It might have the engineering capabilities to get water from the ocean and fix our water problem. You never know. I believe the United States is a country of opportunity. I appreciate this nation more than anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've been here my whole life. If I was to ever go back to El Salvador, I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. I don't know what streets to take to school, any of that. In the education, it's a big problem over there as well. It's poverty, corruption, violence. That's the reason why people come here. They don't come here to destroy anybody's life, take nobody's job, and do those things. They come because they have to run away from those stuff. Sometimes your kid doesn't have food. How do you feed him if you don't have a job? How do you put him through school if you can't pay their school? Those things are why we come here and we pursue those dreams, And I love America. I've been here since I was 10, and I think it would be the biggest impact in my life if I ever had to leave, because I wouldn't know what to do. I dream of staying here, and I have bigger dreams too that I want to achieve here. I want to make a change, and being in leaders in training has taught me that. Helping out in the community, helping like the inequality, education inequality that exists, is real, and I get to see it a lot with my friends. And I have friends that tell me, "Why do you go to school if you don't have documents? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna get a job?" And my answer is like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that right now. I don't know, but college is self-growth to me. That's how I see it. College to me is not just going to learn math or going to learn food or anything like that. I've met a lot of great people. I've met amazing professors and friends and that have upgraded my intellectuality, and I've become better as a person. And that's what I made my job for now. I want to advocate for those DACA students because even though I don't have it, I see it as it's not fair for that to be taken away from them, because they're basing their life on dreams that they have, that right now they have the ability to do. They have ability to go to work, to go to school, to pay for their college that way. And if that's taken away, that's destroying a lot of lives, for sure, because what are they going to do, Right now they're good, and if that's taken away, that's like, what do? They have nowhere else to do. They're going to go back to the shadows. And I made it my responsibility for us now as to speak up, tell my story, and make that change, because that's lives that are in the line, and families, and it's a big issue right now. And thank you guys for having me here. That was my story.
Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie Ratliff and I'm from Elko. I graduated from Elko High School and I had every plan to just attend GBC, stay home, stay close to my family. And then with the Nevada Promise, I realized that I could transfer to TMCC and that I would still get that last dollar scholarship, because without the Nevada Promise scholarship, I probably wouldn't have gone to college. I'm a first-generation student. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and so my family wouldn't have been able to put me through college without this scholarship. So I'm super thankful for the scholarship and that I was given the opportunity. I have a kind of a different and unique story with the Nevada Promise, because I started everything through GBC, and then I went through the transfer process to transfer it all over to TMCC. And now I'm a worker at the Recruitment and Access Center at TMCC, and I specifically work with the Nevada Promise Scholarship. So I get to see both points. I was a student going through that process, and now I get to help the students going through that process. I think it's such an amazing opportunity that Nevada has done this, because I know that I'm not the only one that wouldn't have gone to college if it wasn't for this scholarship, and they make it super accessible and really easy to get, because they're always sending you updates on the deadlines and the requirements. And like you said, you do have to do community service, and so I believe it's just making you a better all-around student by doing this. Right now I'm getting my Associates of Science degree at TMCC, and I plan to transfer to UNR to further study kinesiology and hopefully one day become a physical therapist if I'm still going to school for that long. But yeah, that's my story of the Nevada Promise Scholarship.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Macias, and I'm from Las Vegas. I was part of the dual enrollment program. So it all basically started when I was going to my automotive class, and these people from Lincoln Tech came to talk to us about the program and all that stuff, and they're talking about the HVAC and how everyone would do. And the fact that it was a pretty short class, and I was trying to do like architecture or something else, but the fact that they said it was a short-term class, and it's a job in high demand, it got me really interested into wanting to do air conditioning. Once the time for choosing classes came around for senior year, my counselor told me that CSN is giving us an opportunity to go over there, get most of our credits done for the classes, to basically be dually enrolled to go to high school and have the good opportunity to go to college at the same time. At this time, I was going through like a lot of bad stuff in my life. I had a lot of things that made me like lose my confidence, kicked me down, made me not want to go to school anymore. Like, it just became a really big problem for me, and I don't want to go to school anymore. Once the program started, what's it called? I was doing really good in it. The fact that I was able to understand everything really quickly and to grasp it easily and help others really right away. I would have everyone come to me, tell me that I'm doing a really good job. All that basically boosted my confidence, made me want to continue it, made me want to keep pursuing what I was doing. And my grandpa had passed away the year I was doing all this too. It kind of kicked me down a little bit, but going to this class and this program with all these magnificent teachers and professors that we had over there, that just helped me feel more confident and tell me that I was doing really good. And they ended up giving me a job opportunity really right away after I got my EPA card. And once I got into the work field too, and I was going to class, it just changed my mindset completely. I would always come home happy. I would always be more content. I always feel more accomplished than what I was before. And doing so during that time, it was just a lot of stuff that was going on, but the fact that I was doing better in life didn't really affect me because it just changed my mindset that I'm actually capable of doing stuff no matter what, whatever comes in my way, whatever problems happen. It was just a lot of things that went on, you know? And with doing so, now that I graduated and I'm halfway done with my certificate so far for critical systems, I go back to my classroom with my old teacher and I help him out with his new students to make sure they have the same, same support as I did. Because everyone deserves to get more support to feel more confident to do whatever they want or desire. And doing so in this field has pretty much changed my life, made me more happier than what I was. And that's pretty much it so far.
Hama Na Corey Pofabetti Nia. My name is Corey Pofabetti, and like Chancellor Tom Riley has said, I am a Native American student. I attend the Trunking Meadows Community College, and I am also first generational. I have had been with TMCC for about 7 years. I am 25 years old, and I went to TMCC when I was 18. I was in foster care for 14 years. I aged out of foster care in the state of Nevada from the age of 4 to 18 years old. While I was in foster care, I was an orphan by the time I was 17. I lost both my parents before I could age out. Being from a poor, unfunded, and not progressive tribe here in Nevada, I didn't have any funds. So when I was 18, I went and got a job, got a house, and I saved all the money I could to pay for my first college class when I was 18 years old. I didn't know anything about FAFSA or any other paperwork to get through my college years. It wasn't until I was 19 years old when I met a independent living coordinator that was from a little town called Fallon here in Nevada. She worked with other Native students, and from 16 to now, I have made it my job to make sure that other Native American students, especially foster care, both tribal and county, don't have to go through all the struggles that I did, trying to call, answering, looking at the internet or newspaper or whatever, trying to find ways to get help so I could continue my education. She helped me do my FAFSA for me, and also get help through a ETV fund, which was for only county children. But because I resided in Reno, she made it possible for me to have a little bit of funding for me to go to college. I became a mom at the age of 20 and a single mom. So I ended up having to drop out. So FAFSA was no longer able to help me because I was in trouble with probation, because you can only have so much percentage before you could do it. And life happens. Like, I had to have a full-time job. I don't have parents. I don't have the support financially, physically, or emotionally. So I had to do what I had to do. And was probably not in college for about almost a year and a half. And I got reached out to by somebody at the college that befriended me before I quit college. She found me on Facebook, out of all the places. I changed my phone number a lot, so. So she was able to reach out to me, and I went back to school. And that was when TMCC finally got a foster care youth advisory, who was designed to help any person who came out of foster care with the paperwork, with information. She was kind of like my emotional and physical support at the school, and also with my personal life. My personal life was always the reason why I could never go back to school. Being a mom and, not having those kind of financial stabilities for me to even pay for school. And for 2 years, I was on probation for ETV, so I paid out of pocket. And TMCC helped me get into a Getting Ahead workshop program, which is a 16-week course about getting out of poverty for low-income families. And I was one of the first students at TMCC to attend and participate and graduate with this program. And we discussed about resources within and outside of TMCC, and they provided a small stipend for the 16-week course. And so I was able to use that money to help me throughout my schooling, and then that's how I was able to find out like food pantries within the city, or that we had a food pantry at our school that I was unaware of, so I was able to save my money and continue school. My advisor also was able to help me get into a job within TMCC, so I could use the funds to pay for my education as well on a payment plan. And it wasn't until just recently that I found out about the child care waiver, which is from 14 to 26, so I just made the cut. And it's for us to assist us with our tuition, and I was able to use that for my books. I had a lot of struggles, obviously, with my personal, like raising my daughter and the expensive living costs, because I don't want to live on the reservation, which is like 3 hours that way. There's no assistance or funding for me. So I stuck it out here in town, and that kind of limited me. I wasn't able to apply for a lot of scholarships or a displaced homemakers reentry program, which is through TMCC, which is designed to help single moms. and I missed that one too because I am not in a AAS. I am pursuing AAA in criminal justice, and I plan on using that to be in paralegal or in the law aspect. I really hope that you guys could help other students. I always try to do my best to be the voice for a lot of students out there, those who lost their parents, those who are in foster care, both tribal and county, those don't have the emotional support or the financial support, some of the look through, and even single moms. The struggles of having to pay for childcare alone while you have a job is costly enough, and then having to pay for more childcare while you are going to school, sometimes it's not ideal, you know. So, but I made it out, and that's why I'm here, so you guys could help other youth. I use my platform to help other students. I've made a lot of accomplishments back in my day. When I was 20, I attended the Children's Mental Health Summit at the Governor's Mansion in Carson City, and I was able to help implement a foster care bill of rights for other foster care kids. And I hope that you guys look at all of these small little holes that you guys are missing to help provide those funding for these children, so that way they don't have to struggle and they can use this education, because education is the only thing that I've ever really had in my life, and I knew that was my way out for me and for my daughter. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for coming up there and sharing your stories. And maybe we just take 5 minutes before we open up for questions. And I mean, like everybody else, we still are struggling and still have challenges. And why I like to talk to students when we go out there and ask them about the programs we implement is that they're not bashful about telling you what's not working. And so maybe we could spend a couple just thoughts about what more do we need to be doing as a system of higher education to ensure that when individuals come to us, they graduate. So just use your microphones, and if someone has a thought about what we need.
I believe that as presidents, you know, it's important to speak out about, you know, like, for example, DACA students, you know, it's important because, like I said, there's a lot of talent. Trust me. I know a lot of friends that I'm like, whoa, how did you know that? And I believe in your positions, you have the ability, you know, to make it, take my story, for example, and, you know, take it somewhere else. I believe, I'm glad I'm here in Nevada because I've never been asked in any college, like, oh, you have a Social Security, oh, you don't, oh, sorry. No, that thing has never happened to me here. But when it comes to financial, that's one of the biggest issues, you know, because as my status, for example, it's hard for me to find that financial support. You know, I can't get a job and stuff like that, which it makes it really hard, it makes it really difficult. I'm the first generation student in my family as well, because, you know, my whole family hasn't gone to college because, you know, they had to work back in the country, or, you know, they had to do what they had to do. And I'm proud to be the first one to break that cycle. But it's important to understand there's, you know, we didn't have a decision to come here. We didn't choose when we were 6 years old or 10 years old or 3 years old. We didn't say, I want to go there, or I don't want to go there. You know, it's a thing where, what am I going to do, stay with no mom? But, you know, we come here to pursue dreams. We all have dreams. We all have ambitions, and we all have things that we want to achieve. And that's something that I have myself. You know, in my heart, I want. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and I dream big. But sometimes being undocumented can become a difficulty and a wall in front of you. And you know, I believe the people in office, they're the ones to make the change. They're the ones, we as undocumented and as students and DACA recipients, our job is to tell our stories, where we come from, how we get through college and stuff like that, to people like you guys, you know, people who are in office, people who are presidents, people who are congressmen, congresswomen, who make those decisions back there in Washington. It's not about politics. It's about lives. You know, it's about talent. America, we you know, this. I say we because I feel as part of this nation. This is all I know, and this is all I want to know, because I want to strive high over here. I want to put back in the community as well, because even here in America, there's issues. There's still economic issues, there's still violence, there's still poverty, there's still education issues. And I want to go back to the community and help out in those aspects. And being a documenter to this day hasn't stopped me from doing that. I try to mentor kids, and I try to give them advice. Even a lot of undocumented kids who are in high school, they come up to me and they ask me, what can I do to make my situation better? You have any opportunities? You have this? And I try to connect them with people that I've met along the way of telling my story and stuff like that. I try to make those connections because I don't want them to go through the same stuff that I went through, Like when I was a senior, my first thought was, okay, how am I going to pay for college? How can I make this work? And being part of the nonprofit and things like that have helped me a lot financially and support. And, people have supported me along the way, and they have kept me going. They have given me that push, because being undocumented is not only a financial issue, it could be an emotional issue. Because you start thinking, what am I really doing? Why am I going to school for? They're right. Why am I going to school for? Why, I can't get a job. But, thanks to the support that I've encountered and I've been able to push and keep going, because I have a dream, and I want to make that dream. I want to reach my American dream. So that's my advice as president. Support for DACA and undocumented students. That's what I'm working for. That's what I want to make sure that happens, because it's important. It's not political, like I said. It's lives. It's kids that want to strive, kids that want to open their own restaurants, their own law firms, their own businesses, their own stores, all types of talent in the community. And it's important for our economy as well. That creates jobs, that creates opportunity for other students coming along the way. So I hope you guys can take this from me and, support. I ask for support. That's all I don't ask for, give $1 million. No, I ask for support. More than emotional, I ask for professional support. Speak for those that we have a voice, but there's a line that we can't cross, and we can speak up more than that, because I'm not there with congressmen, I'm not there with congresswomen in Washington, I'm not meeting with the staff of the state or stuff like that. But people like you guys can take my story, for example, and take it out there and advocate. That's what I'm doing, advocating for those DACA students that have DACA right now, because I don't want that to be taken away from them. What's going on in Washington it's just not right to me, and that's why I took the stance to tell my story and try to make a change, not in policies, but in the minds that create the policies and the minds that change the policies, because there's life that are on the line. So thank you guys for listening to us.
What do you want? Just like what works?
What else we can do to improve things? Any thoughts?
Can I ask questions? Can I ask you guys questions?
Or, or maybe just open up.
I just wanted
open the
to
questions up
say,
here.
I don't know if you guys have advisors in your guys' community colleges or universities that are designed to help certain students. So for me, instance, do you guys have an advisor that's specifically there to help foster youth? Are you guys able to reach out to them and know when they're going to go to school? Because I feel like if I would have had that right when I was 18, paying for my first college class at 18 years old, I'm pretty sure that I would have been a lot more successful, and I would have been set up to graduate in the path that I wanted to. I would have had those resources, that information there to help me get into my education and graduate on time instead of having to take that time off. And I feel like having a foster care advisor or a tribal advisor or somebody that is designed to be there to target those particular specific issues for those certain students, I feel like is very beneficial. And I feel like every college and university needs to have it, because like all of these kids here, we all come from different backgrounds. And you guys are probably faced with a lot of students that are coming from different issues, but a lot of the stuff that we have to deal with outside of this college affects us, graduating and getting our education and our degree. And I just kind of hope that you guys could take that in consideration, whether it's, getting one faculty, because I know at Team CC our foster care advisor is actually someone I actually met a long time ago when I first started college. She is in charge of the foster care youth. So like when they do the FAFSA or something, this is like foster care, she gets to know when those students are getting put there, and then we have a summit for them, like a little youth conference for them, right in the beginning before the semester helps, so we could help them sign up for their classes, get through the FAFSA, help them with a plan, college plan, and get them in a degree so they can start, and help them pick out these classes. And that has made my life a lot easier these last 2 years, because I honestly took probably like 10 classes that I didn't even need for my degree. And here I am, going on 7 years, just trying to finish this degree now, because now I know what I need to do. And I just kind of think that it would be very beneficial for other students and for each college to have, to raise those retention rates for not only just foster care youth, but also Native American youth or other certain minorities that are getting missed in the system. I feel like more funding, I guess, is an issue. Like, I appreciate Nevada, especially TMCC, for letting me know about the child care waiver. I had no idea, and I was paying out of pocket the last semester. And I didn't know until I got a phone call from TMCC saying, hey, why are you paying? We have this child care, foster care child waiver. I had no idea. And here I just like spent like something I could have used for my rent or whatever. So like, again, that's probably because TMCC was able to reach out to me because of the system that they had set up in place for foster care youth. I think Getting Ahead workshop was really beneficial for me. I've worked my butt off really hard ever since I was 18 to get to where I'm at, to get myself out of that very low, poor poverty line. Getting Ahead workshop for 16 weeks was really beneficial to me because I was 20 at the time. I think my daughter was like 3 months old. I was like bringing her to class with me. I got free lunch out of it, and I met once a week, and we were able to talk about every different person in that group, because there were students from all over, and it was nice to relate to them, to know that I wasn't the only one going through, you know, not being able to eat sometimes for a week, or not having the emotional support there, or the physical support or financial support. And we were able to connect with each other. Now when I see them, it's nice to see a friendly face that I know that is making it out to and is trying to make a difference. And the stipend that we got, we were able to get resources throughout the time that we were in the Getting Ahead workshop. So I think like programs like that are pretty beneficial for schools to have. So then that way students are able to know what's within the college that can help them. Because I go to university sometimes because I have friends that attend there, and I always ask them questions because I'm so used to Team CC is so small. It's like a family, I feel like. If I need some help, I know the advisor I can ask, and I know that she'll do whatever it takes to give me those answers. But I know at the college, my friends who are Native, they have a hard time. They're like, oh, I don't even know. So it's just like things like that I feel like are pretty beneficial for students to have there for that support. But that's what I think. Thank you.
We can open the question. And one thing we do struggle with is how do we scale it up, that we offer points of contact for example, people who understand undocumented students and the struggles they go through, foster care students. And we've been attempting to establish those points of contact at each of our institutions, both on the financial aid side and on the counseling side. We also are woefully underfunded on the issue of advising and the issue of emotional support that we're trying to beef up and trying to address those issues. And when we talk to students and talk to many faculty, they constantly repeat that we need these services, we need these support systems if we want the students to be successful. And our challenges, I think, is probably similar to you, is how do we scale up a lot of these efforts that we know work, but they just need more resources to expand it. But with that, if there's questions or advice or anything with the students or myself, we'll be happy to.
Well, first of all, Chancellor, thank you for sharing with us. And To all of you that are on stage, thank you for sharing your stories. And just to let you know that you give us the reason why we do what we do, right? Anytime whether I go have an issue with my board or just an issue that I don't want to deal with, I talk to you, the students, because you remind me of what my why is, okay? And so I want to commend all of you. Kinesiology, we have a great physical therapy program at Montgomery, Alabama, at Alabama State University. I'm recruiting. Need enrollment, right? But to your point, in terms of specifically with foster care, and of course, that's something that we've been working on at Alabama State University in Montgomery. And in Alabama, of course, there are scholarships for students that come from foster care situations. And so we're really trying to beef that up on campus so that people know exactly where to go. But the challenge is a lot of times when we get foster care students from other places and they age out. And some of our presidents probably have experienced this when, you know, they have no advocate. Yeah. And then they're identified and they, you know, they try to get financial aid, but they can't be classified as independent because they don't have anybody to verify that they're independent. Mm-hmm. So as a president, plug your ears, sometimes I have to do the verification in order to help them achieve their goal. Sure. And so we have to try to work through that, I think, between states, but then, you know, try to see how we shore up the information being provided, where they can go to get the necessary help, particularly in the foster care scenario. The other thing that's important is to have the conversation. We work through our Department of Human Resources, which has, sometimes they have a foster care division. And so giving them the opportunity to visit our campus, and there are other organizations throughout the state that are funded through our K through 12 system that help students achieve the opportunity to go through the various institutions that we have. So I think it's an extremely important issue. I think we can all do more to ramp it up, as you say. And I also think another thing is the child care is extremely important, that if we can provide that opportunity, and that's, you know, really when you talk about K through 12 on to post-secondary education, that's an issue that we can wrap our arms around to ensure that we're giving those students the opportunity. But again, I want to thank you all for your presentation, and thank you all for giving us our why. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chancellor, for your panel. I most respectfully want to say thank you for your courage, all you young people on the stage. I'm from federal service. I work for Federal Student Aid. We postulate a lot in DC about what's right and what's wrong. But it's until we hit the ground and we see the presidents here who are doing the work every day, but even further, until we see you and look in your faces, we have to understand what we're going back to DC to try to do and commit ourselves to. So I thank you again for giving us our why and our what for. Right? I knew my why was the mission, but what for is some of the stories that you guys have provided, but mostly your courage. I'm not that courageous. I haven't been that courageous, and I haven't had those type of issues to overcome. And so sometimes I lose sight of how much I should do and how hard I should fight to ensure that you guys all have opportunities to move forward. So I appreciate you. We want to make sure we have their contact information, Chancellor, so that we can engage them if we want other innovative ideas about how we should be doing our work. Because we who have not experienced it don't always know the answer. And often you guys hold the power to change the lives of people that you sit beside better than we do. So I thank you for your commitment, your courageousness for sitting on this stage and talking to adults who are far beyond your years, but who need to understand your story so we can better serve your colleagues. So thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Russ McDonald, president for United Tribes Technical College in Bismarck, North Dakota. We have an associate's and bachelor's program in criminal justice. and we have a tuition waiver for American Indian students. So just throw that out there for now. But I want to just reiterate what our colleagues are sharing here is that, it's hard to get up there. hard to get up there and talk. But I came from a tribal college myself. Grew up on a res. All of us pretty much poor out there. So the tribal college got me into education initially. Took me 4 years to get a 2-year degree. Went and boozed around partied around quite a bit, got into that. And then eventually put that aside and went back to school and got the bachelor's and master's and PhD. So the stories that you're sharing today are really just reinforced to me, the importance of education as an intervention. And that's what's going to bring us out of that poverty. That's what's going to help us to make a difference. And to realize that we end up being role models, you guys for us, and hopefully us for you, but not only but also to those that are around us, our families, our friends, and that we're on this goal to move ahead. So I just want to applaud you for being part of this education work, this path, that we're going down together. And I want to thank you for sharing on what we need to do. We also have childcare on campus, and we have elementary school on campus, and we have safety and security on campus 24/7, and family housing. And I know not all tribal colleges or some of our sister colleges here have that, but I know we're at different places. But I think the importance is that we're a community, and we're small enough that we employ 2 social workers on our campus we call them wellness counselors, and so their range is all over. So in regard to the foster care piece, they're able to adjust that and share what resources are available on campus and within the city that we reside in Bismarck. I want to talk a little bit about you, and I know American Indian Higher Education Consortium has supported DACA, and so they put forth a formal letter of support for that legislation. But I just want to say something on behalf of all of us here, is that we're either here in these lands because we were always here, or that we were brought here, and so, but in any event, is that those that were already here in North and Central and South America are indigenous to these lands. And the political boundaries that are in place were not there before. So we're indigenous to wherever we are in these continents. So I say that to you, and that America is built on concepts that were founded in American Indians' perspectives and way of life to the Iroquois and those nations there.
Thank you.
So that lastly, I say, in front of our federal partners and all of us relatives that are here, is that everybody that's here are immigrants to these lands. So who are we to prevent someone else to be coming and taking advantage of what's here for everyone? So I say that to you. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for having us. We appreciate it.
See, I told you the best was coming last, right? So much for all the bureaucrats you've heard today, but you can't beat that, right? That's straight to the heart, to the mind, and so that reinforces what a wonderful way of ending the day, to be reinforced spiritually, emotionally, in terms of why we do what we do, and why we spend the time the way that we spend it. So thank these young folks and the Chancellor again, please, for their sharing. And so we've wrapped up another second annual President's Leadership Summit. It's been a great day and a half. Thanks to all of you. I've seen some of the faces you've hung in here from the very beginning. I see some folks who were here at 12 o'clock yesterday, and I still see you here now, and some who came a little bit after, but you're here. Thank you for hanging in here for the entire duration. And as I said, I think we really, really heard some of it was all great, but the best stuff for last, as I told you from the very beginning, I'm a pushover when it comes to students. And so I can't think of a better way to have ended this program today. You're going to get a the evaluation note from Barbara Walker. It'll be a Survey Monkey tool. I see some of you going, yeah, I saw that name, and I was getting ready to delete it. I don't want no damn Christmas gifts and all that. No, Barbara Walker from a company called Wind Walker. Barbara is our contractor for this work, and she just sent a Survey Monkey document out to each of you along with the other. Please give us your feedback. Our intent is to be able to continue this process next year in Atlanta, to even grow it more, to get more presidents there. And we're looking for ideas as well in terms of how we can expand this, new ideas in terms of bringing different kinds of features to this. We know we've got to do the core compliance stuff. We got it. But that's only a smart piece, a small piece. We want to be able to find some other new and exciting things that you as presidents think can be helpful to you as we go about the business of continuing to provide opportunities for young people in this country. So thank you again very much for your hanging in here. Have a great remainder of your visit. If you're going to be here for the rest of the FSA conference, then please do continue to have fun and enjoy yourselves. And for the rest of you, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get out of Reno tomorrow, all right? And, but certainly before the storm comes this weekend, all right? So thank you guys again very, very much, and we appreciate you, and God bless and safe speeds.
Thank you again for having us.